Imagine a morning, still and hushed, when the very sea itself seemed to weep. A titan had fallen. It was a scene of utter devastation, an impossible outcome etched onto the very waves. A global power brought to its knees. Against all reason, against all expectation, a seemingly unstoppable force was not merely defeated, but annihilated. A world watched. Stunned. By whom, you ask? A small island nation, often underestimated, dared to challenge a colossal empire. The impossible had happened. For centuries, the world understood power. It was vast land, endless resources, immense armies, and fleets of unparalleled size. Russia, the colossal empire, was the very embodiment of this might, a titan standing astride the globe. Who could challenge them? And then there was Japan, a nation awakening, a land of ancient traditions now embracing the modern world with quiet resolve. From isolation, they emerged, not with thunderous declarations, but with a fierce, quiet determination to forge their own destiny. Never in a million years did anyone imagine this island nation could stand against the Tsar's vast, seemingly unbreakable empire. Yet, history is often written not by the mighty, but by those willing to challenge the impossible, to risk everything. What if everything we thought we knew about power, about destiny, was about to be utterly, irrevocably shattered forever? In the year 1905, in a distant corner of the world, a naval battle occurred that defied all logic, all reason. It was not just a clash of steel and fire. It was a clash of wills, of dreams, and of deeply held beliefs. The place was Tsushima, a narrow strait between Korea and Japan, soon to become the grave of a global superpower. Here, in just a few agonizing hours, the seemingly unassailable might of Imperial Russia was not merely defeated, it was annihilated. A word we rarely use for a world power's military, yet it applies perfectly here. The shockwaves rippled across continents, from London to Washington, Tokyo to St. Petersburg. The world held its breath. Tsushima didn't just win a battle, it fundamentally rewrote the rules of naval warfare and reshaped the global balance of power. It was a stark, brutal lesson that size alone guarantees nothing when faced with courage, innovation, and resolve. So, join me now, my friend, as we peel back the layers of this incredible story. Let's feel the past. We'll journey into the heart of a conflict where a titan's fall echoed through time, changing everything we thought. This is the story of Tsushima 1905, when an unsuspecting superpower learned its ultimate, devastating, unforgettable lesson. The world turned, a new century dawning, carrying the weight of old empires and the whispers of change. For centuries, power had been measured in land, in people, in ships traversing the world's great waters. But beneath the gilded surface of peace, currents of ambition stirred, ready to reshape the very map. Among these giants stood Russia, a colossus stretching across continents, a land of immense, silent power. Rooted deeply in Europe, its heart pulsed with the ancient rhythms of kings, tsars, and vast plains. Its empire was a tapestry woven from countless peoples, stretching from Baltic shores to distant Pacific seas. Imagine a land so vast, its sun could rise on one end and set weeks later. This was the realm of the Tsar, a truly continental power, boundless and seemingly unyielding. Within these borders lived millions, a sea of humanity whose strength fueled the Tsar's vast ambitions. This immense populace provided an inexhaustible well of soldiers ready to serve the motherland's cause. Cities grew, industry hummed, harnessing the strength of its people to forge tools of empire. From the Tsar's opulent palaces to the humblest villages, a common thread of destiny bound them. A deep sense of national purpose, perhaps divine, guided this grand, intricate, and powerful nation. And upon the waves, Russia projected its might with a navy that was truly formidable, globally recognized. Its fleet, among the world's largest, was a symbol of imperial ambition, a testament to its reach. These iron giants, bristling with cannons, were built not just for defense, but for projection, for conquest. Much of this power gathered in the Baltic, a cold, northern cradle for these formidable steel behemoths. Each sailor, a small cog in a grand design, bound to a distant vision of imperial glory and expansion. Yet, a gnawing vulnerability persisted. Frozen ports. Russia yearned for year-round access to the open sea. The dream of a warm water port, unfettered by ice, beckoned from the distant, shimmering Pacific horizon. This yearning pulled Russia eastward, along iron rails, across vast steppes, towards the rising Asian sun. Manchuria became a prime target, a rich land offering strategic depth and vital access to the coveted sea. And beyond Manchuria, the peninsula of Korea, a vital gateway, seemed to beckon, setting the stage. Such a vast empire, with such a formidable army and navy, truly felt invincible to many observers. Whispers of the Russian bear echoed across Europe. Its sheer size instilled both awe and profound trepidation. The Tsar and his court believed in their destiny, their inherent right to expand, to command, to endure. Generations of power, centuries of expansion, bred an assurance, a deep-seated belief in their own might. But in this grand narrative, a crucial detail was overlooked: the swift rise of a new power. Japan, once isolated, was rapidly industrializing, building its own formidable forces with quiet determination. The Colossus looked east, unaware of the sharp gaze of the rising sun, soon to collide. While one empire stretched its vast reach, another island nation stirred, awakening from centuries of quiet, deliberate sleep. For generations, Japan had cultivated its own delicate world, a vibrant culture untouched by much outside interference. But the world would not wait. Foreign ships breached her secluded harbors, demanding entry, shattering generations of peace. Japan faced a profound choice: resist and perhaps perish, or embrace the very changes she once feared. And so, with astonishing speed, Japan began to transform, shedding old ways for the machinery of a new age. She studied the West, not to imitate blindly, but to understand, to absorb, and to ultimately surpass. From the quiet fields to bustling city streets, the fabric of life began to shift, visibly, profoundly changing. Children learned new lessons, minds opened to different ideas, eager hands built a future unknown to ancestors. Her shipyards hummed, her armies drilled, forging a strength born not of conquest, but of necessity. This was not mere imitation. It was a fierce national resolve to stand equal among the world's powers. Her ambition was clear: to secure her place, to define her own destiny, free from foreign dictation. She watched as Western powers carved up Asia, a fate Japan fiercely refused to accept for herself. To secure independence, she knew she needed a sphere of influence, a protective buffer zone around her shores. This wasn't just about power, it was about pride, about proving the strength of her unique spirit. A united nation, brimming with newfound confidence, looked outward, ready to assert its vision for Asia. Her early victories hinted at a rising star, a formidable power the world had largely underestimated. Korea, Manchuria, these lands became central to her strategic thinking, crucial for her burgeoning empire. Her trade routes expanded, her economy boomed, creating a modern force that commanded growing respect. The world began to notice, a murmur turning into a wary whisper: who is this rising sun? They were disciplined, fiercely loyal, and driven by a national will that few fully comprehended. But the winds from the west carried a different ambition, a colossal empire also stretching its long shadow. Two titanic forces, each believing in its own destiny, were now on an inescapable collision course. Diplomacy faltered, conversations grew colder, as neither power would yield its claims to the crucial territories. The stakes were colossal, not just for land, but for prestige, for race, for global supremacy. A storm was brewing, a profound clash between East and West, between old empires and new ambition. Russia, complacent in her power, saw an upstart. Japan saw a challenge to her very existence. The world held its breath, unsure what this unprecedented confrontation between such different titans would unleash. One, an ancient, sprawling giant. The other, a vibrant, modern warrior, ready to prove its true might. The vast Pacific, once a barrier, now became a stage for a drama that would redefine the global order. And in the quiet resolve of Japan lay the spark that would soon ignite an unimaginable, world-altering inferno. The turn of the century brought whispers of empires colliding. The quiet sea held tension, waiting to erupt. Japan, an emerging power, eyed Russia's growing footprint. Port Arthur, a vital harbor, beckoned ominously. The Russian Pacific Fleet rested, unaware of the storm brewing. A quiet evening, a peace soon to shatter. Under cover of darkness, torpedo boats moved like specters, Japan's gambit, a daring, desperate, preemptive strike. Suddenly, the night erupted. Torpedoes found their marks, shattering the calm, the peace, the fleet's composure. As morning broke, the brutal truth emerged. Russia's Pacific Fleet lay crippled, a shadow of its former might. The devastating news traveled slowly, then swiftly, across vast lands, reaching the heart of Imperial Russia. Nicholas II, the Tsar, faced a profound humiliation. His dreams of empire, suddenly, desperately, threatened. How to reclaim lost glory? A desperate thought began to form. Send the European fleet, thousands of miles. Arguments raged. The voyage seemed madness, impossible. Yet the alternative, greater shame, was unbearable. With a heavy heart, the Tsar made his decree. The Baltic Fleet, all of it, would sail to the east. This was Russia's pride, its strength, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, an armada built for colder waters. From the Baltic shores, orders echoed. An epic, globe-spanning odyssey was about to begin for these men. Farewells were whispered, tears held back. The anchors lifted, the engines rumbled. There was no turning back. A spectacle of steel and smoke, the fleet pushed eastward. Their destination, a distant, war-torn corner, 18,000 miles. 7 months, a daunting, almost unimaginable task stretched out before them. The journey began, and with it, immediate challenges. Every ounce of coal became a precious, heavy burden. These grand ships, built for parades, not for such rigors, showed their age, their neglect, their growing frailty. Engines groaned, pipes leaked, and barnacles clung stubbornly to hulls, slowing their already arduous progress. Navigation proved tricky. Outdated charts and unfamiliar waters added layers of silent, growing anxiety. The tropical heat, a cruel, unfamiliar enemy, began to take its toll, sapping strength, testing resolve. Homesickness became a constant companion, a quiet, gnawing ache for the lives left so far behind. Cramped conditions, monotonous routines, frayed tempers. Morale, a fragile thing, began to steadily erode. Many were farmers, not seasoned sailors. Their training, woefully inadequate, became a dangerous liability. As they entered the North Sea, a thick fog descended. Nerves, already raw, stretched thin, taut. Rumors of Japanese torpedo boats, though baseless, spread like wildfire, fueling fear in the dense mist. Then, a sighting, or so they believed. Shadows in the fog, quickly misidentified, sparked an instant panic. Guns roared. Blindly, frantically, the Russian ships opened fire, fear guiding their every desperate action. But it was not the enemy. It was innocent British fishing trawlers, caught in a terrifying, deadly blunder. The Dogger Bank incident, a horrifying mistake, a testament to the fleet's extreme nervousness, its crippling fear. The world reacted with shock and fury. A diplomatic crisis erupted, isolating the struggling Russian fleet. Humiliation followed. The fleet limped into Vigo, Spain, facing the world's condemnation, their spirits crushed. Repairs were made, but time was lost. Precious days slipped away, lengthening their already impossible journey. Every mile added to the weariness, every port a reminder of their growing isolation, their profound vulnerability. Coaling stations became scarce, supplies dwindling. The logistics of feeding such a fleet were a constant nightmare. Sickness spread in the crowded decks. Tropical diseases, unfamiliar ailments, further weakened the already frail crew. The proud banners, once so vibrant, now flew tattered, faded. Each thread told a story of hardship. Storms, heat, cold, relentless winds. The elements themselves conspired, testing their endurance at every turn. The once formidable Baltic fleet was transforming. It was becoming a slow, lumbering, increasingly desperate beast. Small acts of defiance, tiny glimmers of hope, tried to survive amidst the pervasive gloom and desperation. They were truly alone, thousands of miles from home, with little hope, facing an uncertain, perilous future. Every sunset marked another day gone, another mile closer to a fate that seemed increasingly inevitable. 7 long months had passed, The climax of their desperate odyssey, now looming, was almost upon them. This epic journey itself was a battle, a slow, agonizing defeat. Their ultimate test, however, awaited them. A new day awakens, but beneath the calm, something stirs. Japan was not merely waiting, she was preparing, and at the heart of it all stood Togo, a quiet strategist, bearing the weight of his nation's destiny. His gaze held a depth, a knowing of what was to come, a silent conversation with the vast ocean. Within the war room's quiet hum, every decision was weighed, every possibility meticulously considered by dedicated men. The charts spread before them were more than paper. They were a canvas for Japan's very survival. Foresight, a quiet weapon, became Japan's guide, anticipating moves before they even truly began. While Russia wearily plodded onward, Japan, fresh and resolute, honed its vision with calm purpose. These tranquil shores, their very existence at stake, watched as Japan readied itself for the ultimate challenge. Every sailor, every man, understood the gravity. Their readiness was not just training, it was devotion. Days blurred into weeks of relentless drills, each maneuver perfecting the deadly dance of naval warfare. The air thrummed with practice shots. The roar of cannons became a familiar, yet chilling symphony. Precision was paramount. Each target, each trajectory, was studied with unwavering, almost meditative focus. Generations of naval wisdom passed down, ensuring every hand, every mind, understood its vital role. This was more than a fleet. It was the embodiment of a nation's resolve, a disciplined, unwavering spirit. The very latest ships, built with British ingenuity, stood ready, reflecting a future Japan desperately sought. Every bolt tightened, every surface gleaming, spoke of care, of a deep respect for their formidable machines. Modern technology, an invaluable ally, promised an edge, a clearer sight in the chaos of battle. Deep within the hull, the heart of the fleet beat strongly, ready to propel them toward their destiny. They waited, a silent steel forest, each vessel a testament to Japan's unwavering commitment and readiness. Through these lenses, the future was scanned, enemies identified, distances calculated with stark precision. Every fiber of their being was focused, anticipating the moment when their deadly aim would truly count. New ammunition, forged for maximum impact, lay waiting, a stark reminder of the battle's brutal reality. A heavy quiet settled over the fleet, pregnant with the unspoken tension of the imminent, ultimate confrontation. Togo knew. He studied every current, every potential path, feeling the pulse of the approaching storm. The Tsushima Strait, a narrow gate, became the stage for a grand, terrible drama, meticulously foreseen. Whispers on the wind, intelligence gathered, confirmed the Russian fleet's tired, predictable, fateful course. Japan anticipated every turn, every weary mile, knowing the worn path Russia would inevitably be forced to take. Out there, vigilant eyes searched the endless blue, waiting for the first telltale plume of smoke. The trap, intricate and deadly, was laid with patience, honed to perfection, awaiting its weary prey. Every line drawn, every arrow pointing, was a step towards victory, etched into their shared understanding. Crossing the T, a brutal, beautiful concept, designed to unleash overwhelming concentrated fire upon the enemy. Darkness itself would become an ally, with silent, swift torpedo boats prepared for their chilling, unseen work. The cold steel of the torpedoes held a promise of swift, decisive destruction under the cloak of night. Concentrated fire, a storm of steel and flame, was the doctrine, ensuring every shot found its mark. War games played out endlessly, testing strategies, refining instincts, preparing for the unthinkable. In quiet conversations, futures were debated, plans solidified, the fate of an empire silently decided. Their own waters, familiar and comforting, now transformed into a chosen battlefield. A final stand, a single purpose, a unified heart, bound every man, every ship, towards the daunting task ahead. The ocean, once boundless, now seemed to shrink. Two worlds, inevitably, were drawing agonizingly close. The quiet before the storm stretched, a breath held, a moment before history's tumultuous, violent embrace. A monumental naval battle, a clash unlike any before, loomed, threatening to reshape the very world. The fate of empires, the balance of global power, teetered precariously on the edge of a sword. For Japan, survival itself. For Russia, a desperate quest for vindication after countless sacrifices made. The immense stakes were palpable, a weight felt in every heart as the world held its collective breath. The world awakened slowly, but this morning, destiny's shadow already stretched long across the silent sea. They sailed, unaware, into the heart of a dream of home, now turning into a chilling nightmare. Months at sea, a weary journey's end, yet not the peace they yearned for, but something far worse. Simple men, far from loved ones, their faces etched with the sea's salt and unspoken anxieties of war. A formidable sight, yes, but its very bulk was a burden. A slow, lumbering beast destined for sacrifice. High above the waves, watchful eyes searched, knowing what approached, waiting for the precise, fateful moment. Togo, the quiet architect of destiny, felt the weight of a nation upon his shoulders, steady and unwavering. Beneath the morning sky, a coiled serpent awaited, its scales gleaming, poised to strike with silent, deadly grace. The world held its breath, a silence heavy with untold stories, before the thunderous symphony of destruction began. A lifetime of preparation, every decision meticulously weighed, now culminating in this ultimate, harrowing gamble. Then, a distant smudge on the horizon, slowly resolving into the unmistakable form of the enemy fleet. The long journey's end revealed a cruel truth. The hoped-for haven was merely the mouth of a hungry wolf. With a quiet nod, a single command, the stage was set for a ballet of steel, fire, and fate. Like dancers on a grand stage, they turned, each vessel a precisely aimed instrument of impending devastation. Togo's brilliant move, placing his line directly across Russia's path, maximizing his guns, minimizing theirs. Confusion rippled through the Russian ranks. Their slow giants could not react to such audacious, swift maneuvering. Every man knew his part, every heart beat with fierce resolve, ready to unleash thunder and fire. The air ripped open with a terrible roar. Steel and fire hurtled across the waves, seeking their mark. Then, the impacts. Violent shudders, splinters flying. The stark realization that this was no mere skirmish. The T was crossed, a deadly geometry of war, gifting Japan overwhelming advantage. An unfair, terrible hand. Shell after shell, a relentless hail of steel, each one carrying a whisper of destruction, an echo of doom. These were not just solid shot, these were high-explosive shells, designed to tear and to ignite everything. The superstructures became tinderboxes, wood and canvas catching fire, transforming steel giants into blazing infernos. Metal twisted like paper, structures shredded into grotesque skeletons, the very heart of the ships ripped apart. Then, the deeper, more terrible explosions as ammunition stores, once dormant, roared into catastrophic, fiery life. Men, caught in the open, were shredded, engulfed, their lives extinguished in a blinding, merciless flash. Amidst the chaos, Japanese crews worked with chilling precision, a well-oiled machine of death, unyielding and swift. On Russian decks, panic mingled with brave but futile efforts, a desperate struggle against an unstoppable tide. They sighted, they fired, they adjusted. Each shell a calculated whisper of an ending, executed perfectly. The Russian line fractured, individual ships becoming isolated targets, their valiant efforts crumbling under relentless assault. The sea became a stage for a terrible, fiery ballet, where giants danced their last, agonizing, flaming waltz. What took years to build, decades of naval ambition, was undone in a matter of agonizing, brutal hours. Their ships moved like ghosts, always staying just beyond effective return fire, always finding the most vulnerable angles. Desperate Russian shells flew wide, their guns often damaged or crews incapacitated, a symphony of futility. In his eyes, we see the raw, crushing weight of utter defeat, a silent scream against the overwhelming might. It was not random chaos, but a methodical dismantling, ship by ship, hope by hope, life by life. Even the pride of the fleet, once a symbol of power, now succumbed, its glory dissolving into smoke and ruin. Their efficiency was unnerving, a testament to relentless training, a cold, unwavering focus on the task. The sea, once boundless, was now a graveyard, strewn with wreckage, a silent testament to man's capacity. Amidst the wreckage, faint cries, scattered souls clinging to life, a stark contrast to the mighty machines. As the day waned, the inferno glowed brighter, a terrible monument to Russia's shattering naval dreams. No triumphant cheers, only a profound silence, a heavy recognition of the immense human cost of victory. The smoke cleared, revealing a horrifying emptiness, the lingering scent of ash and a cold, vast silence. Tsushima, a name whispered through history, a turning point, a somber reminder of empire's fragile, fleeting grip. The sun rose, not to the din of battle, but to a profound, unsettling quiet over the vast ocean. The sea, once a vibrant blue, was now stained black, a mournful canvas of humanity's folly. Wreckage littered the waves, fragments of once mighty vessels, whispers of lives now lost forever. Here and there, a handful of survivors clung to hope, their eyes mirroring the ocean's vast emptiness. The morning revealed a horrifying truth. Almost an entire superpower's fleet had simply vanished. The devastating statistics began to surface, painting a picture of overwhelming, unparalleled destruction at sea. Nearly every ship of the formidable Russian Baltic Fleet was either sunk to the depths or captured. Against this backdrop of utter ruin, Japan's losses were almost unbelievably, remarkably small. A testament to meticulous planning, precise execution, a victory hard-won, yet seemingly effortless for them. One by one, proud Russian vessels struck their colors, surrendering their fate to the victorious Japanese. The sound of anchors dropping, not in port, but in defeat, echoed across the silent, heavy waters. Even the admirals, the architects of this grand, tragic voyage, found themselves in Japanese hands. The capture of their leaders underscored the totality of this crushing, overwhelming, unimaginable defeat at sea. News of Tsushima rippled across the globe, sending shockwaves through every major world power. An unprecedented victory by an Asian power against what was considered a European military giant. This was more than a battle. It was a thunderclap, shattering long-held assumptions about naval supremacy. The myth of European invincibility, a cornerstone of global order, began to profoundly unravel. Russia's claim as a formidable military giant lay broken, scattered amidst the debris of its lost fleet. The world was forced to reconsider. The old order, so rigid, was suddenly shaken to its very core. The battle's grim aftermath was a stark, dramatic illustration of a titan's devastating, humbling fall. The sea holds secrets now, whispering tales of steel and courage, and of unbearable, bitter loss. A profound lesson etched into the waves, a moment forever remembered in the annals of time. And so, the quiet aftermath became a testament to power, fragility, and the relentless march of fate. The smoke cleared, a new sun rising over the Pacific. Japan had stepped onto the world's grand stage. No longer a distant island nation, their victory cemented a power that reshaped East Asia's very destiny. The world watched, astonished. This was not just a battle, it was a profound shift in global order. For countless peoples yearning for freedom, a spark ignited. A tiny nation had dared to defy giants. Across Asia and Africa, whispers turned to dreams. Tsushima whispered that colonial chains could break. Old empires, once so secure, felt a tremor. The foundations of their global dominion began to crack. Back in Russia, the news struck like an Arctic blast. A nation's pride lay utterly broken. For the Tsar, it was a crushing humiliation. The cost of ambition, now laid bare for all. The grand dreams of expansion, of glory, drowned in the frigid waters off Tsushima. A wound, but the pain ran deeper than mere prestige. It stirred the very heart of the Russian people. The whispers of discontent swelled into shouts, fueling the flames of the 1905 revolution's awakening. Tsushima was not the sole cause, no, but it was a heavy stone tossed into Russia's simmering pot. The seeds of unrest, sown then, would blossom into a tragic harvest just over a decade later. The echoes of that distant battle resonated, quietly undermining the Romanovs' ancient, weakening grasp. Beyond politics, Tsushima utterly transformed naval thought. The old ways were simply, demonstrably, obsolete. Speed became paramount, a new creed for steel giants. Naval architects raced to build faster, stronger ships. Gunnery training, once secondary, now critical. Every single shot had to find its mark. Tactical innovation, once scoffed at, became the very crucible where future victories would be forged. From their steel hulls to their mighty guns, battleships around the world bore Tsushima's influence. Generations of strategists from every navy learned the hard, undeniable lessons of that distant day. The legacy of speed, training, and innovation carved deeply into the very heart of sea power. Tsushima's ripples spread far beyond that fateful strait, shaping global events for decades. A profound story etched in salt and steel, reminding us that history's currents flow eternally onward. The waves still whisper tales of that fateful day, carrying Tsushima's enduring legacy across generations. A moment etched in history, a stark reminder of how quickly the world can turn. A heavy truth. For Japan, it was a moment of immense triumph, a burst of national pride against all odds. Yet, that victory, so profound, also sowed seeds of a dangerous ambition quietly growing within. A burgeoning militarism, born from such success, began to subtly reshape the nation's future path. These triumphs, unknowingly, would lead down roads with tragic consequences, resonating through time. The echoes of Tsushima, a powerful lesson, would tragically reverberate in later global conflicts, shaping destiny. Tsushima remains a timeless, brutal lesson, etched not just in history books but in our very souls. True power, we learn, isn't simply about sheer size. It's profoundly about clear vision. It's about tireless preparation, decisive leadership, and the unwavering spirit of innovation, guiding destinies. It's the relentless will to challenge what seems unchangeable, to bravely defy the status quo. Even a mighty superpower can be utterly annihilated by a determined, unexpected force. A humbling truth. Let this profound story linger in your thoughts, a quiet whisper from history's deepest currents. If these stories move you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing your own thoughts below.